In my honest opinion, Liverpool only have one big, big issue. We have lots of little issues, but one big issue, and it's this right here. Goals conceded, right? Look at Arsenal's goals conceded. Look at our goals conceded. Now, this can actually be explained pretty simply, right? For a few different factors. Liverpool have a new starting 11, more or less, right? Especially up front. We got Alexander Isak, Hugo Ekitike, but it's the losses that really matter. Diogo Jota led from the front, led the press. There was a reason he came into the Mane, Firmino, Salah trio of devastation with aplomb, flawlessly, because he is game intelligent in the press. He can be relied on in the press by Jurgen Klopp and Arne Slot, and we lose nothing in the press. And that's when you realize players like Diogo Jota are worth their weight in gold. Someone who can come off the bench and turn a game and win the game. Game intelligence, never complain, two-footed, but the intelligence in the press. His passing away is so sad for many, many reasons, but you saw how it affected Mo Salah when he was crying after the game as well. You saw how it affected Arne Slot. Is his colleague. He was mentoring Jota, very, very close to Diogo. How good of a person and a kind soul Diogo as well. Everyone is phenomenally affected, and you got to imagine it's incredibly hard for the newcomers to adjust and understand the situation and having the empathy and sympathy as well. Coming to a situation where they're happy and delighted to be at Liverpool, Frimpong, Mamadashvili versus Isak Ekitike coming in, but having that downbeat, emotion and sullen atmosphere. You don't know whether to smile or be happy, or when there's tributes to Jota or seeing Jota's 20 in the changing room. It can't be easy. That's all I'm saying, right? Time doesn't heal all wounds, but it lets you adjust to the new reality that unfortunately Jota's not here to help us. A very, very sad situation overall. And look, it's been a bit of time, some matches now, but it's clearly affected some players, especially Mo Salah and the like as well. Robertson, very, very close to him. So give them a break, give them some space, and hope that things will work their way out in that regard. But enough about, this sad situation. There's plenty to look forward to as well. Similarly, Lucho Diaz. Now, Cody Gakpo can press, but there's a difference between Lucho Diaz's press and Cody Gakpo's press. In a Gakpo turns like an oil tanker. Gakpo's pretty fast, pretty aggressive in the press, great acceleration, but he can't maneuver. He hasn't got the agility to go from left to right to front to back in the same way that Lucho Diaz, more plucky, low center of gravity, can do, right? So we lose something in that press, and also Gakpo doesn't turn over the ball as much as Lucho Diaz did previously. And Darwin Núñez, for all the vitriol and hatred and toxicity online as well, pressed like a madman. He won the ball back so many times. So what do you do as a coach? What do you do when you're on a slot with this new look press from the front, right? You fight fire with fire. Now, Arne Slot said it very, very correctly. Teams, when we finished 5th and 4th, for example, thought they could come at Liverpool, thought they could attack us. They left the space open and we exploited that space, and then they became more defensive. So we have to work out the riddle of the low block. When there's a low block, right, we try to attack them. When they get the ball, they transition and counter-attack very, very quickly. When they attack us and they're not in the transition, when we've set up, they don't even give us a chance to press. They go long, and they go high, which makes it very, very difficult for our players to actually effectively press and attack from the front, which means we've got to scrap and fight for second balls. So fighting fire with fire is why we actually are in a great position, second in the league, 1 point behind Arsenal. Another good point about that, if we go toe-to-toe, you rely on our offensive capabilities to score the goals that win the match, which is why we turned over those 50-50 games early part of the season, especially right against Burnley with the penalty, against Arsenal with the Szoboszlai free kick, opening match against Bournemouth as well. We turned them over with our offensive prowess and relying on our quality 1v1 defending to bring us through them. You fight fire with fire, and the press and the patterns of play off the ball will come eventually. However, saying that though, in the last few weeks, we've been on the receiving end of a Chelsea, Esteval Willian goal at the end, Crystal Palace goal at the end, conceding the goals that lose the matches. So what can we do about this situation at the moment? So the approach isn't necessarily so bad, right? I did say you can't afford draws. You cannot afford draws in the season. Arsenal are ahead of us, perhaps on merit at the moment, but they're ahead on one draw. Liverpool tried to fight for the win and we lost as a result. But losing a match when you're going for the win and with Liverpool's capability and caliber and attacking prowess and power off the bench is actually the right approach, because if you can turn one loss or one draw into a win, which is 3 points in the bank, out of your 38 game fixtures, that is better than 2 draws. 2 draws is 2 games out of your season, 2 matches that you'll never recover from. The Arsenal match was incredibly big because Arsenal now only have 1 match to match Liverpool's result head-to-head, because Liverpool have the 3 points, of which Arsenal only have one more opportunity to take any points off Liverpool, right, directly affecting our season. Now, Arsenal have a good run of fixtures. Man City have a good run of fixtures. Liverpool have had an incredibly hard run of fixtures. And on the face of it, you look at Arsenal at home, Newcastle away, Crystal Palace away, a plucky Burnley, Bournemouth with Semenyo, who's absolutely on fire. On the face of it, you would accept 2 losses and 5 wins out of this. It's not so bad. The only thing is, Arsenal are also keeping up the pace with 1 point ahead, but they are getting injuries, whereas we are not getting so many injuries, right? They've had Havertz out, Gabriel Jesus is out, Saka's in and out as well. They're relying on Leandro Trossard. Martinelli's been out on occasion. Rice got injured again. Odegaard got injured. Rice is probably back. Saliba's been injured. They're getting red cards as well. They have injury issues. Now, does that mean that they're going to have injury issues throughout the season? Well, we don't know that. You can't confirm for sure. But what it does say is on the balance of probabilities throughout the course of the seasons, they'll get more injuries than Liverpool and perhaps being run down into the ground with our regulars having started many a game, especially Bukayo Saka's having been forced in to the starting role even when he's not completely fit from an injury. Now, even Madueke, his replacement, is injured. So that's one plus point. Liverpool can only get stronger, only get more familiar with each other, especially the pressing from the front with Jota, with Isak, with Ekitike. But it's the line in behind them and the familiarity of the fullbacks with the central defenders, right? The defensive partnerships there, as well as the play in front of them. Can Frimpong, Bradley and Szoboszlai honestly say that they're in an ideal in sync combination with Mo Salah at the moment? No, they can't. And it's not just Salah's fault that he's constantly, right, waiting for the attacking transition, because that's Arne Slot's attempt to win the game. As I said, trying to win the game is not a bad strategy if you pull it off. If Salah has an off day or they exploit the space that Salah has in behind, then yeah, it's not a good strategy. But you can't look back on hindsight. Arne Slot has a clear vision for what he's trying to do. And his reasoning in the post-match press conferences, where it's on a knife edge and we did have opportunities and it just didn't swing our way, is credible. It's fair. It didn't swing our way. We're still in title contention at the moment. We've got a heck of an overpowered squad. The players can only get better and things will get better. We're still in an ideal position, but just tactically and the margins, they aren't there at the moment. So what can be done about this defensive conceding of the goals? Now, Van Dijk looked in the first 5 fixtures, absolute mountain, back to his best, maybe even better than his best. Reading of the game, phenomenal. Konate has been up and down, pulled it out when it counts versus Arsenal, similar to Milos Kerkez. They're getting hammered in the media. They're getting hammered by Gary Neville, hammered by Jamie Carragher, hammered by all the press. But the ones that are really supporting Liverpool through thick and thin, who've been there, seen it, done it, and won it, like Kenny Dalglish and the others, no, it's not time to panic, because now is an international break. Now is time to reset as well. Milos Kerkez as a left-sided centre-back isn't the end of the world, isn't a terrible thing. And I did say that Milos Kerkez isn't the rampaging fullback that you're expecting a prime Andy Robertson to be. He's more of an all-around footballer, but he does offer things going forward as well. But can he really facilitate that with Cody Gakpo going inside? Now, Kerkez providing an overlap does allow for a game-winning condition in Cody Gakpo cutting inside and releasing the Gakpo. If he was scoring those efforts, then it'd be great. But the float to the back cross, the float to the back cross? What is that? What is that, man? The back post floated cross never works if Salah's on the back post. So they've got to look at that. That's got to be one ploy to look at. Shunting Szoboszlai in every area, because he can play every area phenomenally well, isn't the solution either. Fix his position and let him do his stuff and allow other people to make a claim for that position. Conor Bradley is a world-class right back in the making if you facilitate him and support him. The balance isn't quite right because Gravenberch is trying to go forward. Conor Bradley is trying to underlap and go forward, shunting Mo Salah out wide. If Mo Salah is cutting inside, then Conor Bradley's got to go around the outside. Frimpong can go around the outside, but in the build-up, deep in our own half, he looks a little bit lost, maybe more familiar in the wing-back role. So Arne Slot's really got to decide what is the approach that we're going to work on. Is it Jeremy Frimpong in the wing-back position? Is it Conor Bradley as a rampaging fullback, up and down, in which case we've got to cover. Gravenberch has got to be a bit more disciplined and not go forward so much. Do we play from deep, penetrating passes through the middle with McAllister or Gravenberch? Or do we need a destroyer, dedicated destroyer halfback and not force Gravenberch back there? Because Gravenberch has been quietly very effective in the attacking third, which means if you put Endo behind Szoboszlai and Gravenberch, then you're allowing Szoboszlai and Gravenberch to rampage forward, and you have a back three in Konate, Endo and Van Dijk, which allows Conor Bradley and Milos Kerkez to go forward too. So you got to really decide, because Endo is more defensively minded and disciplined and experienced in the defensive first and foremost role than Gravenberch. Regardless of what you think of Endo's capabilities or his favoritism with Slot, it's just attributes, and it's the way it works. If you think McAllister passing through the lines is the game-breaking option to unlock Florian Wirtz, then you've got to build a team that has movement in the midfield laterally to open up the gap so McAllister can find Florian Wirtz. And if you do find Florian Wirtz, then Ekitike, Gakpo, Isak, Salah, whoever it is, especially Isak and Salah, I'm pointing them out, have to make the runs as soon as the ball is on its way to Florian Wirtz, because Wirtz has a split moment in time, a second, before he's crunched by the 6, closed down by the 8, closed down by the centre-back stepping forward, inverted fullback coming onto his ass from the lateral side, whips flanks as well. They've got to make the runs so he can play first time. Did you see when he came on that Zinedine Zidane roulette spin into Salah, who wasted the right-footed shot, right? You've got to make the off-the-ball runs, game intelligence, connections, employs and plays before Wirtz receives the ball, because if he doesn't receive the ball in that 10 position, he's going to have less than a second to do something or to shift out and move it, groove it, do something with it, move it, something like that. I don't know. Anyway, digressing just a little bit. So, identity. Arne Slot needs to decide, am I a wing-back system player, in which case it's Frimpong? Am I rampaging fullbacks, full attacking, complete fullbacks, and it's Kerkez and Robertson and Connor Bradley? Do I play in a back three with a halfback? In that case, should be Endo closing up and Gravenberch licensed to roam forwards. If I'm playing Gravenberch as the halfback, it means further forwards, we're going to need some ability to break the press, right? Which means Florian Wirtz is almost a must every single game, and someone in between has to be the legs in between Gravenberch in the halfback position and Wirtz in the 10 position, which means it has to be Szoboszlai. It can't be Maka. Maka is plucky, he's feisty, he's Argentinian, he fights, but he hasn't been completely on form. He's a passer rather than a runner, even though he can carry the ball as well. Curtis Jones can also carry the ball, but on the transition, he's very, very slow to release the ball. So he plays when you need to hold the ball high up. I would almost argue that Curtis Jones holding the ball high up gravitates and allows people to close them down from the opposition, which allows Wirtz to get additional more space. In that case, you're playing with technical front line, so you're looking at Wirtz and Curtis Jones to link up with Isak and Ekitike, but they've got to be closer to Isak and Ekitike, right? To make sure that they can slide those short balls through and not the long balls from the back, i.e. Gravenberch and McAllister. On the left wing slot as well, we've really only got Gakpo, who's the left wing, except for Ngamoa, who's a traditional dribbler. Ngamoa always causes the opposition issues. And let him have a run out, let him take the man on. He's a game-winning condition and can go around the outside and cut inside and stand a man up as well. He doesn't always have to cut inside. Cody Gakpo, going around the outside, only has a floated left foot cross. He doesn't drive a left foot, similar to Mo Salah, which means we're completely closed off those avenues to attack the opposition, which never is a good thing as well. So you've got to really pose the problems for the opposition and try to make the offense work, because if you're gambling on the defensive side of things that you've got the quality individually to win the duels, then you must outscore the opposition. If we sit in the low block and try to attack on the transition, then you've got to make sure the low block is actually effective and works, and the players pick up all of the men and contest the duels. You can't sit in a low block and allow wing-wondered teams like Chelsea, right, and Manchester City to constantly barrage you, get the ball and attack in the positions where they've practiced and honed in training. It doesn't work like that. A low block has to snuff out the danger at the first opportunity by closing them as soon as they enter your half, especially when they enter your quarter, approaching the penalty area. I've seen too many times we stand in position trying to positionally make it difficult for the opposition, but Liverpool have always been a team that thrived on closing the opposition right in their face, aggression, and in freeze, right? It's either the winger and the fullback and the sided number 8, left or right, that close in a triangle, close them down. You can't have a one-man press, you can't have a low block and the two trying to chase shadows. That's what Crystal Palace, that's what Fulham, that's what Brighton do. We're not that. We are Liverpool FC, and mano a mano, 1v1 duels. If you want a 1v1 duel, you do it all over the park, not with two hopeless runners against four that will rotate and pass around you. So if you're going to press from the front, right, Ekitike, Isak, Salah, and Gakpo need to up their game and do what Firmino, Salah, Mane, and Jota, our Eternal 20, Champione, do by pressing them, harassing them, and making sure that they never get an out ball easily. And if they do get an out ball easily, you run back, you put in the effort. And I'm talking about Salah here. Slot's tactics aside, it's not Salah's fault. Slot's tactics has to ensure thorough balance, especially when we're not playing well. You don't rely on him to win 1 out of 3 games or bury 1 out of 5 chances. You have the whole team playing at least 7 or 8 out of 10 to allow everyone to be the game winner. Because now's the time that we've got to transition away from Salah being the main man, even though he should be a key player, even though he's not at the moment. Isak paying so much, and Wirtz paying so much, and Ekitike paying so much, have to be who you build a team around, and Salah has to be a component to help them step up to be the man. To be the man, you got to beat the man, and currently nobody is beating the man because we're not creating chances for our strikers, and that comes down to system efficiency and knowing the patterns of play. When you invite the opposition to attack you without pressing them, and when you don't Gengen press and attack them and turn over the ball in higher positions, you're trying to break low block after low block after low block, and it's increasingly difficult with these tactical acumen coaches like Iraola, right? With Glasner, who know how to make the game dirty and having to scrap the ball in the air and fight in the air. And then you got beautiful patterns of play like how Brighton play to turn you up and rip you up and open you up. And an individual quality like players like Newcastle with Gimaresh, right? And Tonali doing stuff in the middle that opens up your line of 6, which means the low block is penetrated anyway. You can't always fight. We can't always dominate opposition. We have a fair amount of control, but we don't do much of it. We look incredibly slow, but we're still in a fantastic position. Second place, 1 point behind Arsenal. We still have loads of bottom teams to play, right? We still haven't played the Leeds or the Sunderlands, for example, even though Sunderland are ahead of Man United on merit. We've got to turn up against Man United, doing the old rivals. Form goes out the window. But on paper and in tactical transition, and especially in managerial acumen, Slot up the shiny one over Ruben Amorim, we have to turn over Man United because it will be a close run thing. I don't think Manchester City will last the distance. They're so heavily reliant on Erling Haaland and funneling chances through to Erling Haaland. But with Donnarumma, they're more solid at the back as well. Don't concede those iffy, odd goals. And Arsenal are a behemoth. They're titanic as well, but we've beaten Arsenal. All we need to do is keep up the pressure. It'll be a tight run thing, but we have the quality, we have the tactical acumen, and we've shown that we can hold on. Imagine that we held on against Palace 1-1. Imagine that we held on against Chelsea 1-1. Then the perspective would have been much different. We've got a lot of Reddit and Twitter, social media warriors trying to bring up the apocalypse, trying to absolute troll on Florian Wirtz and Isak, etc. But these are quality players, man. Give them a chance to show what they got. It's not been the worst start in the world. We're just not looking totally fluid, but the points are on the board and the points are all that matters. So, fingers crossed. Miyazaki Man, Ichiban is a channel. Substance in abundance. Up the shiny one. Tactical treasures without measures. And make sure you subscribe, right? Your subscriptions really, really mean a lot to this channel and the growth of this channel. A juicy, 64% of you have subscribed already and watch week in, week out, but that leaves, 36% of you? What are you doing, man? Just smash the subscribe button, smash a like, comment. I reply to all comments myself. Have a great weekend and international break. Football will come back very, very soon, and Liverpool will come back with a bang. Of that, I am certain, right? Don't hassle our players. Don't worry too much, right? The game has gone and been done already, and we have won enough games to be in the title race and chase. Okay, so be happy, guys. Enjoy this season. It will be a defining season either way, come what may, in May. Hopefully win the Champions League final. I want to win the Champions League. Retaining the Premier League is nice as well. Very, very hard. But believe in the players. There's only upwards from here. Ciao. Janet.